Sometimes the opposite is what we're supposed to learn by experiencing what we don't want to experience. Welcome back to my channel. This is Vanessa. Thanks for being here. Let's dive right in. So what I've noticed in my own process is something that, may feel polarizing, but I'm going to share it anyway. Somebody has to. So I've realized in my own process that often I was starting at one point in order to learn the other. So for example, if I had times in my life where I felt like love wouldn't stay, or I would have like a lot of heartbreak experiences, then I didn't get why again and again and again that would happen. But what I realize now, looking back, is that I needed to learn what love actually is. It doesn't just need to be a romantic love. It can also be just love, like connection between people, connection to yourself. And I think I had so many disappointing experiences with people for me to realize, okay, what does love actually mean to me? What does connection actually mean to me? Because yes, you can be born and have great relationships and great connections, and then you just, this is just how it is. But I often feel that when I have to learn and make the opposite experience, what I'm supposed to learn is what love really is. Yeah. And, I'm a person who learns things by really going there and experiencing it practically. So that means in my life, feeling the emotions, going through the waves of life, of the emotions. And this way I learn where are my boundaries, where are my limits, and all these kind of things. How far am I willing to go? What works for me, what doesn't, what feels good for me, what doesn't. I'm somebody who needs to experience this practically, I realized. For me, it's not just, okay to read it in a book. I really am somebody who needs to, have that practical experience so I know what it feels like. And I know how I don't want to feel again, for example. And I'm just, I could give you an example from any topic or area of life, but I think it's just something everybody can identify with in terms of connecting with people and love. So I feel like I had to start at this, this is how I grew up. I don't think my parents really knew what love is. Yeah, they loved me the way that they could. I'm sure of that. But it wasn't the way, that doesn't mean it was the way that I needed it. Yeah, there was not much for me emotional intimacy, emotional support, connection in the way that my soul, my little tiny child me needed it. That's why sometimes these limiting beliefs or those, this conditioning is created where you feel disconnected, or you fear being disconnected and abandoned and rejected by people, because you've experienced it before somewhere along the way of growing up. And so this is a wound that hurts, but it is also a wound that can teach us what we really desire and what we really need, which may be connection, which may be being heard, being seen, sharing our voice. Everybody has different needs. So, I'm saying this again and again in my videos, but just because it's so important to realize, what am I learning through the experience, no matter if good or bad, that I'm having? What am I learning here? And why am I learning it? Like, what is my need that I'm actually trying to meet, either through numbing myself with alcohol, drugs, food, sex, whatever it is. And where am I trying to fill a void? That void of the wound that actually means I just want connection. I just want to express myself. I just want to love. And when we experience something in the world, So let's go further with this example of, like experiencing heartbreak or disconnection from people. What we're supposed to learn is, okay, what is important to me? Oh, connection is important to me. Love is important to me. Okay, what does connection actually mean? How does it look like? How does it feel like? And then also, how does love look like for me? How does love feel like for me? Yeah, because it's maybe different for everybody, but really going into this and understanding, how does this feel like and how does this look like? What behaviors mean love to me? And what behaviors do I deem as love that seem familiar or seem to be love, but actually maybe are not really love? Yeah. Maybe what you learned growing up, for me, I learned growing up that love is, being so tolerant and giving, over giving, while receiving very little in return, trying so hard, but yeah, not being emotionally supported in the way that I needed it. And this is not to blame anybody. It's just to find out for yourself, what are my needs? Yeah. And another example can be, if you always feel that life is hard, it's never easy. Everything that you do, just, there's not a straight line that, you decide to do something, you do it, and it's just easy. But maybe things are hard, you apply for a visa and it takes ages and there's always a document missing, or you feel like you always, you are looking for a new apartment and things are always taking ages and taking, you're not taken. You need to search for months to find something that works for you, or work is always difficult. You don't like your colleagues, your boss is not appreciating you. It's always hard. There's always discussions and gossip at work and stuff like that. Then then you have a lot of chaos in your life. So notice what is present in your life. If it's like this chaos, for example, maybe you never learned what ease looks like for you, although you're craving this so much. But if you've never felt it, if you've never felt the love that you want to experience, if you've never felt the ease that you so desperately wish to feel in your life, if you've never experienced that your advice, your guidance is important, that you being seen is appreciated and necessary, then if you've never experienced what abundance feels like, there's so many areas that abundance can show up in, just like love. Living in nature, it's abundance. Money, this is the thing that most people think of first, but there's so many ways that somebody could say abundance is important to me. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be money, but this is what most people identify with it. So go a little deeper and ask yourself the deeper question of, what does love mean to me? What does success mean to me? How does it practically look like? How does it feel in my body? Because if, you never experienced something in the way that you desire it, then it's going to be very hard to create it in your life, because you're familiar with another interpretation, another perspective of what you desire. And that may actually be the opposite of it. That's why you're creating it again and again in your life. That's why it's happening like a pattern, so that you can see, oh, this is actually not what I desire. Feels and looks differently from what I'm experiencing. Yeah, and that takes a moment to sit yourself down, journal, feel into your body. It may take more than once to feel into, how would that feel like unconditional love? Somebody who stays and doesn't run away the first sign of difficulty. How would it feel like to be successful by expressing myself and helping people in some way, contributing, making a positive impact? How would that feel like in my body? How would it feel like to live in nature and have this abundance of green and fresh air all around me? How would it feel if I lived an easeful life? What would my life look like? Who would I be? How would I behave? Yeah, and if you've never experienced something, it will take some time to feel yourself into how would that feel like. And you may want to go out and see and get inspired by other people who maybe come from a background that you come from, but now live a life or have this aspect in their life that you really want as well, like living in nature, and they grew up in the city. So, how did they get there? How did they make it happen? Or, having an easeful, safe home environment, feeling cozy and safe, and there's no drama all the time. How would that feel like in your system, in your body, in your nervous system? Would that feel calming? Would that feel actually nerve-wracking? Because often we feel calmer with what is familiar to us, which may sometimes be the opposite of what we want to experience. But our nervous system got so used to having this familiar feeling, even if the familiar is not what feels right to us or what we desire, sometimes we may perceive it as safer than the new, unfamiliar, actual safe scenario. That's why I think a lot of people give this example of, suddenly having a healthy relationship and feeling like it's, nerve-wracking, because there's not much discussion, or like there's not much fighting. You let each other be who you are. Things are smooth, and that can be nerve-wracking if you're used to chaos. Yeah, that doesn't mean you cannot have a healthy relationship. It simply just means you need to face those parts of yourself, and I'm referring to inner family systems or partswork here. You need to connect to that part of yourself that is needing or so familiar with chaos, or so familiar with scarcity, or so familiar with, a limited version of love. Yeah, and you need to get in touch with them. It's often our inner child, not always. These experiences or wounds can also be created later in life, but feel into that part. And that may be a little bit abstract in the beginning, but feel into that part. Imagine it's a separate version of you. Feel into it. What emotion do they feel? Maybe you can even imagine them in front of you. Where do you feel them in your body? Maybe in your throat, or in your chest, or in your belly. Yeah, and by connecting to them, you can sort of like have a reparenting experience, where reparenting basically means that whatever you needed in childhood and you haven't received, this now you can go inward, talk to your inner parts, connect to them. And again, if this is a concept that is very new for you, this may be something you need a few times to get familiar with, which is totally okay. Take your time. And then by getting in touch with that part, you can basically teach them what you would have needed to learn but haven't received in childhood or whenever that wound was created. Like I said, it's not always a childhood part. It can also be a different part, like a teenage part, or from any age that this wound was created. But go in, communicate with them. Imagine, like you're teaching them, oh, actually, this is what love feels like. Or this is what it feels like to live in a calm and peaceful environment. And then you just, show them, you lead them into your dream apartment or the apartment you live in now, and you teach them, hey, this is what it feels like to be at peace. And then this part of you may get nervous, and you just let them know, just take a few breaths, feel into it. And this is how you relearn, and that's also called reparent, your inner parts, so that although they haven't had the real life experience of what you want them to know, what you want to experience now, what you desire, you can teach them. And that works because our mind doesn't actually know the difference between what is imagined and what is reality. A good example for that is actually, when you wake up from a dream and you're like for a minute like, whoa, what is real? Is the dream real or is this real? Yeah, this is a little bit of an example how you can imagine it. When you repeat this imagination and you put a feeling behind it, and you think how you want it to be like. Imagine what love means to you and how you want it to be practically playing out, how you behave, how the people around you behave, how it feels like in your body. Maybe it's open and safe and calm, or it's exciting, but it's there's a lightness in it, for example. Then yeah, you can make up that feeling even if you never experienced it before. And so I really want to share this message because sometimes we get discouraged when we experience something that feels very challenging and difficult. And I always say that the first thing is not to analyze it, but actually to sit yourself down and feel what is present within you. If there's sadness, if there's grief, if there's fear, or even if there's excitement and euphoria, like whatever you're feeling, name it, feel it through. And then you can also look at, okay, what am I learning here? Because I feel personally, sometimes we don't need to give everything a purpose and a reason. But in my world, me personally, I always try to see a lesson in something. What am I learning here? Because this is something that makes my life feel purposeful and makes me feel like there's a reason to move forward and to keep on going, even when things get really tough. And I think this concept of the opposites is really powerful, because when I experience scarcity, I had recently a meditation where I felt into what abundance means to me. And the message that came was, you actually in childhood didn't learn anything about abundance. All you learned was about scarcity. So now is now as an adult, you can redefine what abundance actually is. And sometimes that makes us feel like, oh, I don't know what abundance is. And sometimes we need to grieve that, and that's okay too. But I actually feel super excited that I got to reimagine what abundance looks like for me and feels like for me. And to me personally, it has not much to do with money at all. I've never been a person who is like money minded. For me, abundance has to do with having powerful relationships in terms of, being there for each other, taking time to listen to each other, being able to be honest and open and trust each other. And that had me make a few differences in the way that I behave and in the way that I, look out for people that feel good to be my friends or my family, chosen family, I guess. And it also had me set boundaries in a different way and values in a different way. So as you're discovering what you're learning and what's the opposite of that you actually want to experience, you get to really grow deeper and mature in who you are. And I think this is super powerful. Yeah. So share with me below. My voice is cracking, so I think I should stop talking. Share with me below what you're experiencing right now, the opposite of, and what it is that you want to experience, or if you've made any of that if you've experienced any of that for yourself in the past or right now. And if you don't know what to share, just say, I'm brave, I've got this. And if you would leave a like and subscription. I would be super happy to have you in the community and share and express and be there for each other. If you need to process some emotions, there's a free meditation you can use below that's called emotional processing. There's also, it says anger release, but you can literally take any emotion through this and it will work. And what else? If you need one-on-one support, learning how reparenting works and how to get in touch and process parts of yourself and reintegrate parts of yourself, there's a link at the bottom of my description section. Or if you want to join a group session, you can also sign up for the next group session that is happening in the start of August. I do this monthly and it's really affordable, 15 euros. It's an hour and a half. And, this is like therapy, basically. It's really somatic process where we do breath work and we go into a topic to release any emotional charge and pain points that you may bring to the session. And healing in community is so beautiful. So I invite you to this as well. And I see you in the next video. Ciao.